64.
It's not 64. I believe it's 66.
66.
Today we're talking about elder abuse in nursing homes.
Get your tissue boxes, because I went through it and there's some information I can tell y'all that might just save a loved one's life.
So we're gonna get into some articles, and we have a video for y'all. There was a hidden camera in one of the nursing homes that went through and documented some cases and some things that were going on.
Show my mom. No, don't do it because I'll cry.
So get in my belly.
Get in my belly.
This nurse here is either yelling.
Get in my belly.
At the.
Sorry, I look a little phrased. We were doing a little light Cabbage Patch dancing.
Yeah. So as you can see in this picture, the nurse is yelling at the old man.
But why would she say, get in my belly?
Who knows?
Is he like, I'm hungry? And she says, well, get in my belly.
I don't know. Maybe.
Because I just ate a big lunch. Get in my belly.
So we got this here. So there's
and pause. Let's sidebar real quick. I'm sorry, but this is really important. In elder abuse lawyers, it's very hard to find one, because I've tried personally for almost a year and a half, and at first it was just hard to get your loved one's chart, and then finally, is that a bug? Is that a bug? Finally, when you get your loved one's chart, you've lost a few lawyers. So guess what? You have been flagged. So say you call example, Huffman and Huffman, and they're like, oh, well, have you called any other lawyers? And you say, no, I haven't. Well, Allen and Allen, just for example, was gonna take your case, but because it took you so long to get their charts, they did not take your case. So then at that point you were denied.
Don't name specific law firms.
No, I just said for example.
So there are 5 different things when it comes to elder abuse, whether it's in a nursing home.
Did you walk out the room to say that?
or the loved ones are normally the ones that are abusing them.
What?
So yeah, I think it was 90% of the time it's one of the family members that abuse them. So
oh
if they
my
stay at the
goodness.
House. So.
Oh my goodness.
Neglect, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse.
Shame on you. Like a child?
We're going to go from 5 to 1. So for financial abuse occurs when a senior is exploited financially by a caregiver or a person of trust. Missing cash, checks, or valuables, inexplicable changes to the senior's bank account or last will and testament, unpaid bills. Sexual abuse, we know what that looks like. Emotional abuse. What? We know. I don't have to go over sexual abuse. Everybody knows what that is. Emotional abuse, an invisible type of abuse that occurs when a senior is experiencing unnecessary emotional pain or suffering from a caregiver or person of trust. Behavior: yelling, shouting, screaming, intimidation, insulting.
So like what goes on here?
Name calling or making fun of the senior, ignoring the senior,
goes on here?
Isolation of the senior, restricting access to food, water, a bathroom, or other patients.
Yes.
Physical abuse, if they have bruises, welts, black eyes, unexplained head, neck, or back injuries, chronic pain, soreness, internal injuries, bleeding, undetermined or over-medicated. Neglect, the big one, which you're going to see in a lot of the nursing homes, occurs when a senior isn't receiving the proper care or attention.
Bed sores.
Sometimes this act is intentional or other times it is not. Unexplained weight loss, malnutrition, dehydration, a messy living area, bed sores, dirty clothes or bedding, poor personal hygiene.
So let me tell you right fast, can you sidebar? Where I went wrong is I did write somebody up for neglecting my mother. Alright, so let me try to do this without emotions. I wrote her up for neglecting my mother for the bed sore. And in my mind, in the very back of my mind, I was thinking this could, backlash on my mom. But I was like, no, nobody. I mean, she's a sweet old woman, whatever. So, um, so the write up that I handed in evidently went unannounced because every time I call a lawyer and it's not it's not in the files of the write up. And I can say this, she ended up getting that nurse back again. So that was my big thing when I turned in the write up. I was like, I want to make sure that she does not get it. They didn't see me. I was behind the curtain. A curtain is like a shower curtain, and this RN walks in and she says, or she may not have been an RN, she could have been an LPN, but whatever. Walks in and says, "Do you need to be changed, Miss Gillespie?" And my mom was, after the stroke, she was very, very nonverbal. She was like no to everything. She said, and I was like, excuse me, were you there when this one happened?
I'm not sure.
I think you would remember it. Anyway, he knows how to compartmentalize all this trauma. So, what was I saying?
Nursing home abuse statistics.
So, stop. Don't do that. So, I was behind the curtain, and she said, "Do you need to be changed?" And she ignored my mom. No, she was nonverbal, and my mom had to only get changed because I was there. So if a family member is not there, your loved one will get neglected and abused at nursing homes. And that's for facts. That's on everything I love. Like the last air I have in my lungs, I can scream this, that anytime you put a loved one in a nursing home, they're going to get neglected or abused.
All
Thanks.
right. Nursing home abuse statistics. Nursing homes abuse can have physically, emotionally, financially devastating effects on residents and families. Abuse may cause physical health problems, psychological issues like depression and disabilities. Abused residents are 3 times more likely to be hospitalized. Victims of elder abuse are 300 times more likely to die than non victims. Nursing home abuse and elder mistreatment also can have significant economic consequences, according to the
Economic.
NCOA. The annual loss by older Americans who were victims of financial abuse is at least $36.5 billion. Now, this is where we get into the nursing home. I believe the
It's
one
all about money, man. Because it's like once at first, I'm so sorry to just cut you off. At first, when they found out at first they didn't know that she had a home. When they found out she had a home, this could be anybody's parent or loved one, aunt, uncle, whatever. When they found out she had a home, then they were going to keep her. It's all about the money, is my point.
So the above paragraph is more for like elder abuse. Not so much in the nursing home, but just elder abuse in general. This one's actually for nursing home abuse statistics. Who commits abuse? So family members, loved ones, or family are behind over 50% of all elder neglect and abuse cases, according to the NCOA. 2/3 of these
What's
abusers
NCOA?
are adult children, I don't remember, or spouses. Substance use disorders and mental health issues may increase the risk of family committing abuse. Nursing home staff members, exhausted, frustrated, or manipulative staff members may harm residents they care for. According to the 2020 WHO study, more than 66% of nursing home staff members reported committing some type of negligent or abuse. Other nursing home residents, mentally impaired or aggressive residents, can cause harm without proper supervision. For example, a registered sex offender living in a nursing home sexually abused a female resident with dementia in 2021. The nursing home was also responsible as it didn't call the police until the female resident had been abused three separate times.
And that's what I'm saying. For example, my mom had 2 falls, and not one time did they take her to the ER. um, their whole was like, their whole story said, well, she didn't complain about being hurt. Well, if she did, we wouldn't know. And again, after the stroke, she had, she couldn't verbally say that. And they knew that.
Statistics on reporting nursing home abuse. Many cases of the elder abuse do not get reported. The NCOA noted that just 1 in 24 cases get reported. When it comes to reporting nursing home abuse, part of the problem is lack of proper instructions. As of May 2023, congressional investigations from the U.S. Senate Committee on Aging found the most states having nursing home inspection backlogs due to stalled federal funding. This has resulted in fewer inspections. Further report noted that 31 states in the District of Columbia have inspection staff vacancy rates above 20% on average. The highest rates were Kentucky at 83%, Alabama 80%, and Idaho 71%.
You remember when we was there, they could never keep any staff. Like, it was always a turnover. Always, always, always. Then finally we would get like one good supervisor and we were like, yes, we got it. And another thing, I don't know about, maybe you live in a different state that's got different rules, but in mine, there's no doctor on staff. So they say that you can call one, if they're sick enough, you can call one, but I haven't had them call one. And I haven't seen a doctor with my loved one. So there's that.
So these are big reported cases of the elderly abuse. So St. Rita's nursing home. When Hurricane Katrina hit St. Bernard
Where's this
Parish,
at?
this is in Louisiana, in
Okay.
August 2005, a mandatory evacuation order was issued. Other nursing homes moved their patients, but the owners of St. Rita's chose not to, fearfully that it would put the residents at risk and confident that they were safe on high ground, according to ABC News. When the levees broke, however, floodwaters came rushing in, drowning 35 residents still in their hospital beds or wheelchairs. Owners Sal and Mabel Magano were eventually tried on 35 counts of neglect, homicide, and 24 counts of cruelty to the elderly or infirm, but were acquitted on all counts in 2007, according to CBS News.
Did you just say that they got off on it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! No wonder I cannot find a lawyer.
Yep. So eventually tried on 35 counts of negligent homicide, and 24 counts of cruelty to the elderly or infirm, but were acquitted on all counts in 2007.
Wow. How? I mean, I never even heard of this case, but how did that happen? That they got off on it?
I guess they were left in there when the flood came.
Obviously, but I get that, but they didn't try to get them out. That would be the first thing that you think that they would do, is get them out of harm's way.
You'd think.
Yeah.
Luis Gomez, a native of Guatemala, goes.
And also, when we tried to get mommy out, they remember they played us. They was like, at first, yeah, we get her out. So she was emotionally abused, because it was like, we're going to get you out, then sorry, we can't. We tried to get her out, and then we were told that, no, there has to be 2 people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we can't afford a Hoyer lift, and we can't afford this and that. And then later I found out, that they were supposed to provide that for us. So that's something else to remember.
Luis Gomez moved to North Carolina in the late 1990s. Over the next 20 years, he would be accused of sexually abusing 6 women in 3 different area facilities, according to CNN. His victims ranged in age from their 50s to 80s, with most suffering from long-term debilitating conditions. In 2017, Gomez was found guilty on 2 counts of forcible R-word, 1 count of forcible sex offense, and 3 counts of sexual activity.
You know how to say R-word?
By a custodian, according to a local newspaper. The Mountaineer, he was sentenced to 23 years in prison, according to Fox 8 in North Carolina. So in the nursing home,
he was served how many years?
He was sentenced to 23 years.
Okay.
So that in the nursing home, his age range, he was a custodian. From
Wow. I didn't think about
50
them.
to 80s.
I didn't think about them to come through at nighttime. And I'll be damned. We should have snuck a little camera in mommy's stuff.
We're going to go through a couple more, but we're not going to read all of them.
No, let's not, because
They're
this
on the
is
Oxygen
depressing.
website if
I
you
feel
want to
like
look
jumping
through.
off the bridge.
Now, Good Samaritan Society Nursing Home. In late 2008, 6 teenagers who worked at the Good Samaritan Society Nursing Home in Alberta Lee, Minnesota were arrested for abusing its residents. Most of the victims suffered from Alzheimer's disease or dementia, and according to the Associated Press, the criminal complaint said the teens would spit in the residents' mouths, spray them with water, and poke and grope their genitals. While the cases of those under 18 were settled in juvenile court, Brianna
What
Brooksman,
the freak?
Ashton Larson were charged as adults and sentenced to 180 days in jail.
Oh, wow. What
pleading
is 180 days? That's like 3 months in jail?
They pled guilty to 3 counts, each of disorderly conduct by a caregiver. Both were released after 42 days, according to Alberta Lee Tribune newspaper.
Oh my gosh, I can't do it.
Last
But you know
one.
what? That's all right. God got them, because you know how much repercussion they're going to pay for that. Oh my God, that's going to be so ugly. I can't. Oh, I can't wait.
George
So
Kickenbach.
honestly, you need to talk to your family, even if y'all are the kind of family that don't talk about serious things. You need to talk to your family about if this is something that your faith is hard and strong enough to resist, to go through, to maybe it won't happen to you, or if it's something that you're pretty in tune to, that it's possible, and you don't want to go through that, then there's probably ways that they could get out of a nursing home. I'm thinking I already told him what to do.
We're going to skip that one because that one was a little bit better. We're going to go to Hacinda Healthcare Facility. Last one. On December
What was that one
29th,
that you skipped?
2018, a 29-year-old woman gave birth to a baby boy at Hacinda Healthcare Facility in Phoenix, Arizona. The woman had been in a vegetative state since nearly drowning at the age of 3, and the staff was not even aware she was pregnant. According to Arizona's TV, weeks later, police arrested one of the caregivers, Nathan Sutherland, 36, after a DNA test matched him to the child, and charged him with 1 count of sexual assault and 1 count of vulnerable adult abuse. According to Fox News, he pled not guilty, and he is currently being held at Maricopa County Jail.
Oh, get him, boys. Oh, I
bail.
hope he is getting it every night. Take the cookies off
According
his tray.
to Arizona Republic.
Get it? Take the cookies off his tray. The world is just so ugly. It is so ugly. Oh my gosh.
So, as you can see here in the blue, these are all cases that are dealing with the nursing home. I'm not going to go through them all.
So maybe you just tell them that what you wanted to.
I was going to skip around.
I know, but I was going to say, Ladybug, what would you like? What would you have wanted to? What can we help them, our fans, do different?
Inform them.
What, the patients that are dementia, maybe? No. Is that what you mean?
Don't put your family in a nursing home.
Right. I mean, okay, for instance, sometimes they may not have a choice. Like, once they're in there, they're hard to get out. In our case.
Evidence about the nature and prevalence of abuse and neglect in nursing homes. I'm going to skip around, read most of the black. I'm going to skip the blue. You can go to the NCBI website if you want to read any of the articles about those. For decades, nursing homes have been plagued with reports suggesting widespread and serious maltreatment of residents, including abuse, neglect, and theft of personal property. In addition, a number of case studies, participant observation studies, interviews with nursing home staff, interviews with residents, provided evidence of abuse. You see here in the blue. Such conditions were major factors in the passage of nursing home reforms contained in the Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. The OBRA 1987 reforms, the most sweeping set of legislative changes by the way nursing homes were regulated since the passage of Medicaid and Medicare, addressed multiple areas of resident care and quality of life. They also specified the residents had the right to be free from verbal, sexual, physical, and mental abuse, including corporal punishment and involuntary seclusion, and limited the use of physical restraints and inappropriate use of psychotropic medications.
I'm telling you, I've seen it all. They said my mom can't ask for her medicine. That's what they needed my mom to ask for her medicine. So if she couldn't, she didn't get it. And I looked at her chart, and guess what? She didn't get it.
Studies of individual risk factors, right here. Living in residential long-term care facilities are more limited but generally suggested the existence of similar risk factors for individual residents. For example, Burgess and her colleagues argued the risk for abuse increases simply as a function of their dependence on staff for safety, protection, and care. They found that a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or other dementia or some type of memory loss or confusion was present at somewhat higher rates among nursing home residents who had been sexually abused than among the average nursing home population. Although those data were from small case studies, Burgess 2000. Similarly, the findings from another study suggest the residents with behavioral symptoms such as physical aggressiveness appear to have a higher risk of abuse. Finding supported by focus group interviews with CNAs and studies of participating factors among community dwelling elders who have been
Stop
abused.
laughing.
Why are you so close to my face?
Oh, sorry. Can we pause it?
There's no way to pause it. We're almost done. We have a video.
No, God, dog a video.
Dog a video. What does that mean?
I said, God, dog a video.
So there was a hidden camera in a
Oh my God, this is what I mean.
The following program may contain scenes that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Don't show mommy.
A special year-long marketplace investigation, undercover inside nursing homes.
And I was shouting my head off and they didn't come in.
Families search for the truth.
Because I know.
My poor mother.
Has long-term care reached the crisis point?
Oh, we're way past that. I think we've been in crisis for years. Because if this happened in a daycare, that daycare would be shut down in 5 minutes.
How to fight for better care.
All right. Get a pen and paper. Write it down. Don't believe me. Write this down.
One of these men will soon be dead. A violent attack inside a nursing home against 84-year-old Meyer Sadoway. It's caught on security video.
So that's two residents fighting and.
Hang on, say it again.
That's two residents fighting.
The home,
I think.
Baycrest, kept hidden
And
from
that's a nurse.
That's a nurse. That's two residents.
Yeah.
It's shocking. It's a horror movie.
Diane Miles and Frances Sadoway are his sisters. You get a phone call?
I got a phone call.
And what did they say?
That Meyer had 2 falls.
It would take months after the attack, after Meyer's death, for his sisters to see the video and learn the truth.
I started crying hysterically, and I thought, I can't believe. They said they can explain everything. They'll explain it. So I said, there's nothing to explain. It's very clear what happened between Meyer and this resident, how Meyer ended up dead.
What happened to Meyer is not isolated in Ontario. It's why we're heading inside nursing homes. Because violence is on the rise. Resident assaults have doubled in just 6 years, from 4 a day to now almost 9.
This is the lounge.
A shocking increase, and we want to know why. So we're visiting homes with some of the highest reported rates of abuse and neglect.
Yes. Sure. Thanks.
We arrive in time to rescue this woman.
I think somebody needs help outside. I'm gonna give her trouble.
What do you get the man who's
We have no idea how long she was out there before we found her.
There's no excuse for that.
Now she runs an association for 31,000 personal support workers.
Did you see how they jumped up when you guys went in there and said there's someone outside who needs help? Because, oops.
Oops can go bad when it's minus 18.
Oops can go bad very quickly.
At a different nursing home in London, Ontario, we overhear workers warn that care is suffering.
We heard that all the time, remember?
What?
That there wasn't enough people to help.
No time for proper baths. How often does that happen in long term?
Every single day. And no, I'm not kidding. Every single day. Because they don't have the time.
And why don't they have the time?
Because there's not enough people on the floor. There's not enough PSWs on the floor.
No time to check on residents.
We lie.
Incredibly, these caregivers aren't just griping, they're complaining to a visiting government inspector. But the inspector says she's powerless.
There is no ratio? Did it say that?
Yeah.
Wow. That's why
And
people
that
could have
is
30
legal
nurses
because
and it's
no
okay?
province has set a minimum ratio
one-
of caregivers to residents the way there is for other vulnerable populations like daycares.
Which I don't think is very fair. These people built the society we live in today.
Wow.
And now they need us more than ever. And we're failing them. We are failing them in a big, big way.
Miranda says understaffing is a clear factor in rising abuse and neglect.
When we're talking about putting more care into the system, we need to talk about more scrubs on the floor. How many staff do you have? We need to talk ratios. I truly believe that is the answer to so many of our problems.
Problems documented in thousands of government inspection reports. A resident dragging another resident who was screaming. Residents who punch, kick, and scratch. And one who died after being struck by another elderly resident.
They have the 3 meal services and then the snack carts in between.
Back on hidden camera, we want to hear what homes are telling families about staffing on official
In
tours.
the mornings, we're getting everybody out of bed. There's 3 PSWs per floor.
So your minimum
That's a
ratio
lot.
would be 10 residents to 1 PSW.
Okay.
On our secure home area, the ratio is actually 7 residents to 1 PSW.
In my experience, when people have gone into long-term care facilities and they ask what is the minimum ratio, they say 1 to 8. But that's not the truth.
The real story? Not one province has set a minimum. There's no rule,
No, there's no rule.
no law,
No law.
no requirement.
Nope.
But we're hearing a different story from some care home administrators.
It's all more or less ministry regulated.
Okay.
And you're allotted so many.
That isn't true. There is no allotment, no minimums, but we hear it again.
So there is a minimum requirement for X amount of staff per resident. And we meet those requirements, and there's times that we exceed
That's what I thought.
the minimum requirement.
So what gives?
Well, I mean, what are they going to say to a family that's coming in on a tour? Think about that. They're there to sell.
Well, don't lie.
But they're there to sell. There is no ministry standard.
Do you think the current staffing levels in Ontario long-term?
That's a good place to leave off. They're there to sell. They're there to sell. So you need to weigh the benefits, the negatives.
I don't see much benefit.
Well, I mean, 90%. Say an elderly person needs to be taken care of by a family member. It says
Say, okay,
90%.
if there's no family member at all, like there's none.
Yeah.
None. And he can't just do himself in. Because, I mean, that would be a better solution than suffer. Just do himself in. or herself in. Honestly. Because nobody wants to go out like that.
So this was Nursing Home Neglect by Tan Panda. Check us out on TikTok, YouTube, and
Liberty Life
Instagram.
35. Hit me up.
That's her TikTok and Instagram. But we are Tan Panda. Like,
Tan and Tay.
subscribe, and we will see y'all next week.